Hello and welcome back to the Photography Shift. This is the 9th episode, so I'm really excited that you're still along this journey with us. So this is a series of conversations about visibility, confidence, and what happens when women begin to fully step into who they are and allow themselves to be seen. I'm Liz Devonshire, brand photographer and visibility specialist, and I'm really, really excited this week to be interviewing Aarti Parmar, brand strategist. So enjoy. Welcome to the Photography Shift. This is a series of conversations exploring what happens when women begin to truly embody their visibility, step beyond the limits of who they thought they had to be, and allow themselves to be fully seen. My name's Liz Devonshire. I'm a brand photography expert and visibility specialist, and through this series I'm speaking with inspiring women about the shifts, challenges and transformations that come with showing up more fully in life and business. Today I'm really excited to be joined by Aarti Parmar, an award-winning brand strategist, coach and speaker who helps purpose-led founders align who they are with how they show up in the world. Her work goes far beyond branding in the traditional sense, exploring identity, alignment, visibility, and the deeper connection between personal growth and business. And together we'll be talking about embodiment, visibility, and stepping into leadership, and what it really means to build a brand that feels deeply aligned with who you are. Hi, Aarti. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
And thank you for joining me today. And before we dive into today's questions, I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about your journey into brand strategy.
Sure. Well, thank you firstly for having me here. Okay, I'll try and keep this really short version of my journey into brand strategy because it didn't start out as brand strategy. It actually started out as a graphic designer. And when it did start out as a graphic designer, I had no idea what brand strategy even was. So I started my business as a graphic designer, and I said I did graphic design, branding, marketing. I did a bit of everything. And that bit of everything meant I was also attracting a bit of everything and also feeling a little bit like kind of going around in circles. I don't know how true this is to me. Just felt like I was chasing another sale to invoice. Going into all sorts of different rooms and trying to learn this and learn that. And eventually I then accidentally came across coaching. And I had one of those epiphany moments of like, oh my goodness, this needs to be part of my life. It needs to be part of my clients' lives. People don't need websites and logos first and foremost. What they need is a bit more inner alignment. During that same time, I was also doing some brand courses and then eventually invested in becoming a certified brand strategist. So combining now both of those together, it was actually more about, well, what are we actually here to do as a business, as a brand that goes beyond just creating a visual identity in that sense? But most importantly, how do we feel about this? And when I kind of delved into that for myself and understanding business is more than just selling a product and service. And when I connected with my own brand purpose, mission, vision, values, and the other elements that make a brand, that was the game changing moment for me. That's when I really started to understand the importance of brand strategy. And then also, what started to happen is the kind of clients I started to attract, the kind of opportunities that then started to come in that just felt like, oh my goodness, like, of course I'd love to do this, that kind of thing. So that's just the short version of that journey to how I've got to brand strategy.
Yeah, and everything you're saying aligns with how I kind of view business and use the use of photography really, because I think the idea of just going ahead with your marketing without thinking about the photography or other parts of your marketing, not thinking about who your ideal client is, not thinking about your messaging and all that kind of thing, it doesn't really work. And so it's really important that we have this alignment and this deeper thought and more depth going into what we're doing when we show ourselves to everyone and our
Yeah,
clients and stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because then otherwise it can just come across as a little bit of a disconnect, and it feels like the photography is a bit of a silo project, the website is a silo project, the logo is a silo project, and then content is silo, when actually what integrates all of that together is those brand foundations, your brand DNA, so to speak, and that is, once it's all integrated, it then really visually, through words, it really expresses in a much more effective way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, that's so true. So I'm going to start diving into the questions. So
Yep.
at what point in your growth did you realise your visual presence needed to evolve and your visuals weren't actually matching up to the level of your work?
Do you know what? Actually, just given some of my own previous experience and exposure in different areas that, I've worked in, sort of marketing and brand and communications and branding and communications. One of the things that I was pretty clear about eventually when I did, get my website done, I was like, I'm not going to just take pictures of myself by myself. I knew from the beginning that, having good professional photography done is part of that positioning, is part of, planting seeds in people's mind about how serious I am as a business owner and what I wanted to portray. But I didn't quite have the budget for it when I first started. You know what it's like when you're bootstrapping and you're starting up and stuff. So what I did do is a bit of a value exchange with another photographer. She needed some, at that time, graphic design, visual identity, logo, and all of that kind of stuff done. And then I got my, photos done. So it was at the beginning, and I feel like it played an important role going forward, not only for the people that were seeing it, but for myself.
Yeah.
There's that element of taking yourself seriously and stepping into something that, that you want it to work. And this is part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're starting out, it's important to make that leap. And I think there are lots of ways we can do it. Yes, photography can be a expensive investment, but when we start out, as you've said, you did a swap, there are, mini shoots available. People can do this
Yeah.
thing. I don't know if you've heard of business besties, where kind of businesses can team up and do
Yeah.
shoots.
That's
So there's
cool.
lots of kind of
Yes.
ways
Yeah.
for people to
Yeah.
actually step into those initial.
Yeah. And I think at that time when I was doing this, there wasn't that around. So that's great that, this kind of thing now does exist. And I've seen, some of those mini shoot things, and I think, yeah, why not? And you're not going to have one set of pictures for 5 years. It is something that will be evolving.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's important to keep moving because we evolve as businesses and people.
Exactly.
And you certainly don't want to be showing up a picture that you had taken 3 or 4 years ago because we will look
Yeah.
differently. And also, our businesses probably will have changed and our outlook and our whole persona will have moved on as well. So,
Mm. Yeah, and just to add to that, we will feel differently. Um, I remember just the other day, I was like doing a post, and then I was like, oh, okay, what picture? And I came across some of my old ones, and I was just like, actually, I don't even feel to use those anymore because I've shifted so much and outgrown that particular identity. So I think there is this importance of, updating your photos as well.
yeah, yeah, that's true. So just how important is it that businesses think about the messaging in their images? And as a brand strategist, what would you say to entrepreneurs? How should they focus on this when they're planning a brand shoot?
Yeah, yeah. Really, really important because this isn't just about, coming to somebody like yourself and saying, right, I just want a personal branding shoot done because I've been told, or, that's the thing to do. Because there's that whole thing of, well, actually, how do I want to be perceived through these images? Because, images will we process images faster than we will process words. So
Yeah,
when we think of it that way, what is that image actually saying? What do you want it to portray? And in the world that we live in today with, fast scrolling, less attention span, images cuts through that in a really effective way. So as business owners, we do need to get really intentional about, well, what kind of sort of essence do I want to get across? There has to be a real kind of alignment, and the thought process behind that also has to be, this isn't just for online, because when people do see those images online, you are already creating perceptions in people's minds and beliefs in people's minds about you. It also has to connect with who you are offline. And so, there has to be that succinct integration and seamless connection. So when people do see you offline and online, you've got this big, bold, vibrant kind of look about you, they're going to expect you to have that kind of bold, vibrant vibe about you offline as well. And I've seen both the other way, where it's been a bit more dull offline, and you're like, oh, a person online really comes across, like this and like that. So, and what that then starts forming is a bit of a disconnect, and that then
Yeah.
also starts sort of saying, you wouldn't say this out loud, but it's almost like, do I actually trust this person? Because the how they are portraying themselves online is very different to how they are coming across offline. So
Yeah.
coming back to that, getting that bit really clear around your brand voice, positioning, your ethos, your essence, those real kind of foundations, your values, personality, and then speaking to, your photographer and saying, like, this is how I want to come across. And then, that conversation is continued with you.
Yeah, I mean that's so important, and I've heard so many people actually say similar things to you about how, they've seen somebody online and then they've met them and they seem totally different. Um,
Mm,
and and it does, even if it's not kind of your conscious thought, but subconsciously there'll
yeah.
be a trust gap there. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing for everyone to think about when they're doing
Yeah.
their imagery, and also writing copy or doing their websites, because everything needs to align properly to send those
Yes.
correct messages out.
Exactly. And that consistency and congruency is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, kind of moving on from that, how has your own visual identity influenced the way people perceive your authority? And did your investment in photography influence the way your clients perceive you and actually in the end pay you? Because when we talk about being in business, obviously this isn't a hobby. We need to be paid, and we need to
Mm,
be paid at the right level for our expertise and experience.
yeah. Um, I mean, look, the honest answer to that is, I've never gone to a client and say, are you working with me because of the photographs that you saw?
No,
It's
no.
never one thing. It's going to be multiple of different things. So, how you are showing up online, what you're saying, and being congruent and consistent about it, the kind of imagery, visual identity system, the whole visual identity system, be it from your logo to your photography, um even the compositions of that, and videos and all of that kind of thing. In terms of, has it helped and have I got clients out of it? Yes, I have. I've got opportunities out of it. Today, you and I speaking, actually, let me ask you, what made you say, actually, yeah, I would like to have Aarti on my podcast?
Okay, so probably I've met you briefly through various networking, but I had kind of been seeing you a lot on social media, seeing what you were saying. We had this brilliant conversation at a recent networking group, and I just knew that what we were talking about would totally align with this series of the
Yeah.
photography shift, which is all about the embodiment and alignment of people after they decided that to step out of their comfort zone, because that was the big
Mm,
decision. But having a big decision like that is okay, but if you don't take it to the next level, it won't mean quite as much. If you're not going to show your clients who you actually are and embody that
mm,
you know,
Yeah.
the person that you really are and the service you're going to give them, it won't mean as much. In fact, it will mean very
Yeah.
little. Having a picture taken, we can
Mm.
all just go and have a picture taken, but it's, yeah, how we do it that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that in itself is a great example of the various different sort of things that have planted in your mind about who I am, what I do, which for me, what I call is called the transference of trust.
Yeah,
You know, I didn't have to be like, oh, Liz, please, 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 can I be on your podcast, or force or anything like
no,
that, you know, and this is what it means to attract opportunities through your business and personal brand positioning, and those multiple things. And when you've probably seen some of those photographs and stuff like that, you know, for somebody who appreciates quality images,
yeah,
composition, all of that kind of thing, that's going to, you know, mean a lot to you. And also then to be able to see that I am embodying who I am and what I talk about, that continues to create that transference of trust. So when the time was right, now we're having this conversation. So
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, so coming back to your question, it's that multiple of various different things and really intentionally doing it well.
yeah. And I think, as you say, it does work. So, I mean, and we're a testament to that. I can't believe we're coming up to the final question. Wow. and I gave you 4 questions. Quite often I give people 3 questions, but I did put an extra question in for
Go
you.
for it.
So the final one is something I always ask everyone. It's about giving a little something to people who are listening, a bit of advice. So when you think about your own brand photo shoot experiences, what would you share with someone preparing for theirs? Is there one piece of practical advice or action you'd recommend for somebody that they could take either before the brand photography shoot or they could just do on the day itself?
Yeah. So probably a few different things. Firstly, it is getting clear around your own brand narrative. So even like when I'm working with my clients, they go away with a brand narrative guide, which they will then go and give to their photographer. So similarly, you know, I have this for myself, and have the conversation with a photographer and say, right, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Because different photo shoots for me have had a different objective. You know, so some have been outdoors, some have been more indoors. So also, like I said, the objective, I've been very clear of what this particular photo shoot is for. So having that clarity on the objective. And if it is just generic, general, I just need some, you know, good personal branding shots, then also just bring that to the space. Being able to brief your photographer, knowing that they are not mind readers. They are photographers who are great at what they do. They will not know your brand inside out. That's the onus for you as a business owner. You need to know your brand inside out. So whether you're working with a photographer, a social media consultant, a marketing agency, an ads agent, an ads person, the onus is on you as a business owner to know your brand from the inside out. Three, what's been really, really valuable for me and my clients is Pinterest. You know, creating a Pinterest board, looking for inspiration, and you know, it's there's things for me that I'm like, oh, I really like that particular pose. I really like that kind of lighting. I really like even just outfits wise. You know, I'm not like a fashionista and a stylist and stuff, so I need it. You know, that bit of like, oh, what would work well with this kind of shoot and what I want the objective of it, that kind of thing. So looking for outfits on Pinterest, you know, styles in that sense, compositions, how I'm seated, that kind of thing. So that's been really, really useful as well. And then one of the shoots, it was like I need a location because lighting and space wasn't great in when I had that particular shoot where I was then. So, you know, don't be afraid to have, you know, hire a location. There is like spaces you can hire, and go and have the shoot, because the more intentional you get with this and understand this is an investment for your brand, and elevating it and positioning it. This isn't just, oh, it's just something I've got to do. That mindset plays a huge difference in terms of then how you also are going to be using this for not only your website but for social media content. And that's also a conversation to have with the photographer and say, look, I am looking to use this on social media, different formats, that kind of thing. So that there's clarity of, like, what kind of again, compositions you may want.
Yeah, such brilliant advice there. I can agree with like everything that you've said. I mean, especially like the location stuff. I talk to my clients quite often about this because I think it's like you've got to make sure your location is kind of on brand for you as well. It's something we really need to
Yeah.
kind of think about. It's no good going somewhere that doesn't kind of reflect or align with your values, or so
Yeah.
yeah, so there's loads of brilliant takeaways. Thank you so much, Artie. Some fabulous insights into this subject. My head's actually buzzing from ideas from
Yeah,
our
I'm like, I could
conversation.
carry on just speaking to you. Thank you.
20 minutes it doesn't seem long enough. I'm sure everyone will agree that we could go on talking for ages, but I do try and kind of keep to around 20 minutes, just so it's easy for people to dip in and out of these interviews.
Yes.
So I know everyone will want to know how to find you, so I'm going to put all of Artie's details alongside this video on the website, but they'll also be in the comments in Instagram and LinkedIn when I start promoting this. If you've missed any previous episodes, they're still currently available. So you can visit my website or click on the link in my bio or the contacts in LinkedIn. And I really hope everyone's going to check out next week's as well. Okay, thank you.
It's
Thanks,
wonderful.
Artie.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree that was an absolutely brilliant interview with Artie. There's so many things to take away from that. We've had so many inspiring women on this interview series so far, from Claire Bannister, Grace Fogarty, obviously Artie today, and many more. And I really appreciate your support in continuing to watch this series. And I hope that you may share it on with other people and encourage them to come and listen to, because we've had so many amazing women being interviewed here, who are sharing so many insights into visibility and embodying that visibility too. So before I go, I just want to let you know I also have a few slots left this summer for brand shoots. There are 2 slots in July and 2 slots in August. So please do get in touch if you want to have a refresh before autumn comes, or if you have any events or book launches or podcast launches or anything like that where you need a fresh set of imagery, please do get in touch. I'd love to help you. And in the meantime, I look forward to you joining us next week, and I'll be releasing the name of that in the next few days. So keep an eye out on socials. Take care.